This is Larry Casso. I want to welcome you again once more to my studio. It happens to be Sunday evening. It's about 8 o'clock, January 4th, 2009. And we all experienced a wonderful snow in our area just before the end of the year. And it was really very heavy and reminded me very much of the 3 years I spent in Vermont, as it has a particular beauty and ambiance that no other part of nature has. And each has its own. But I'm especially thankful that many of my students took pictures and emailed them to me of the snow. And I want to heartily thank everyone that did. I will be doing some more, possibly a workshop on this. But painting snow is very simple. And this is going to be a great exercise in doing a quick little watercolor. But also, along with it, you're going to learn some compositional things that I think will help you in every part of your artwork. And so I want to give special thanks to the many ones that sent me pictures, but what I decided was this particular picture, which is located adjacent to, or on the premises, I should say, of one of my students, children, that takes from me. And so what impressed me about it was it really captures that, I call it, it's kind of a weird mood that you get when you the stillness, the mistiness of it. And in this particular case, it really picked up all of it. I mean, you could have been anywhere in the country and it would have appeared to be just like this. But the one thing Sabrina did, that took the picture, is she happened to catch it at times where there was not only the beauty that we see in the snow, but for just a brief moment, there was a period where, I'm sure it was very brief, where the sun actually broke through, and you picked up this yellow-orangey effect in the distance on the horizon. And so, with that in mind, I decided that I would like to paint this particular scene right here, but I am going to cascade a little bit of sunlight going across it very faintly, primarily because you have so many cool colors in a snow scene. I just love the way the light and the oranges, the burnt siennas, I should say, really fill the picture up. And so this is what we're going to use as our reference. Now, I've already done some measuring. I want to do a quick sketch. Normally on something like this, when it's crisp and sharp, I like to allow that engineering side of my brain come up, where I do everything very, very perfectly and precisely. But I decided that instead of that, I would get my horizon and possibly a few other things done real quickly with a straight edge. This was 7 inches long, and I enlarged it to 14 inches, which is 200%. So when you do something evenly like that, when you're able to do it, makes it very easy. All you do is double your measurements. So I know I need 1.5 inches here, and I need 1.5 inches here. And that is going to give me my horizon line. Okay, now there's not a lot of perspective on this, but because of the preciseness of it, I did want to make sure that I had a very clear feeling of what this fence was going to be and so forth. So I'm measuring the height of the fence about 2/8. And so it would be I want to correct myself on my measurement there. The fence happens to be 4/16, and so I'm going to enlarge that to 4/8. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and except I'm going to go a little bit differently on this. Now here's a line. Again, I'm going to just freehand this across. Let me get a triangle. And the bottom of the fence happens to be sitting right on the horizon, and that's what I'm not really worried about. We'll come back and work all that out in time in just a moment. I'll just kind of use a little guessometric here on breaking these divisions down. I'm not worried about it being that perfect. I'll adjust with the paintbrush anyhow and do it loosely. But that's going to be our fence area. Now, what I am concerned about is the barnyard. The barn. And so, to give you an example of what I'm talking about, this barn is sitting right on the line here, which is going to give us a tangent. So therefore, meaning the lines are going to come together and are going to be confusing. So I know I've got about a 1-inch span here. I'll double it to 2 inches. And in this case, I'm going to come up. I'm just going to make my barn a little bit higher. And it's going to be 3 inches long, just to make sure that I cover that span. So we'll come in and we'll do this. And this is where you have to use, I've always teased my students. I remember I was trained on operating the first perspective machine that ever had been invented. This was back in the late 60s at General Electric Corporation in Burlington, Vermont. And what was so unique about this is that you could actually put your drawing, front view and a side view, on a bowl flat table, and you could actually get what we called a stylus, and you could transfer or trace engineering drawings. If it was a circle on the front view, you'd use a circle template. If it needed a ruler, you used a ruler. But you had a thing that you could press and regulate where you could make it either axonometric, trimetric, dimetric, or perspective, or whatever other kind of metric there might be. To be quite honest with you, my favorite was always phacometric. And so we're going to actually make this adjustment now. Now this happened to be taken from a vantage point where the person was standing right here, and that came straight down, and then they moved over. I have a reason for doing this, which you'll see in just a moment. It takes a little bit of time to figure this out when you're doing a snow scene, but once you do it, it really goes very, very quickly. And now, in just a minute, I'm actually going to tape this line, and the horizon, and I'm going to go right on up and tape the barn part of it also, because I would like these lines to be kept real crisp. And this is a little more than I normally do now, because I'm just having a lot of fun really just doing things freehand and kind of filling it out as I go along. Let's go back. So this is going to be approximately 3/4 of an inch. I have a little space here that I want to show you. So I need about 1.5 inches. Now I'm not really worried about it being that absolutely perfect. But what does happen here is that the final post ends on this fence like this, and then you don't have your bottom line. And you want to catch that, because that's the little things I think that really give you the perspective and the depth in your painting. Now, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come in and I'll guesstimate that I'm about 2¼ inches over from the, good, just to the left of center. I'm about 2¼ inches over from the barn. So I'm just going to draw my line in here, and then my thickness here, show the snow, and I think which time we just fake one. Okay, so we'll just fake this one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start, there's a mass here that I'm interested in for this tree. And so just knowing general anatomy of trees, I'm going to do this, and then across the top we're going to have this area kind of coming like this, and then we're going to bring this back like this, bring this down across here, and then this is actually continuing as just one mass, and I'm drawing these lines in, but I'm not really paying too much attention to them being absolutely perfect. Okay, so we're just going to kind of come around like this, and then we have a group of this foliage that comes up like this, and then another one like this, and it could be whatever we want it to be. Now, I'm not even going to do the foliage back here because that's all going to be done with the brush. And I just noticed something that happened very nicely, that we have this tree right on the side of this barn, in between it and the fence, and that's going to give us another little feeling for our depth of field. Now this is all I'm going to do at this point, because now it becomes critical as to how I tape it. So let's do that right now. I'll get me an X-Acto knife. And first thing we'll do, I've just found with these barns you can soften them. Oh, can I ever remember my paintings in Vermont, and the beauty of it, and the mood, and just the entire ambiance. It was just almost beyond comprehension, and you had to really study it. It's going to be a kind of a strange thing for someone to say, but I really felt that it was one of the best periods of my life as far as the beauty that I painted. And the reason for this was the fact that in the wintertime, when everything's dead and melted and so forth, there's some things that happen in nature that you never see any other time. The colors, and when things are dead and they're illuminated by the snow and the contrast, you see all the colors of nature that you never normally look at. And it is a sight to see. Okay, we've got one more little thing to do here. I'm going to go all the way across our horizon. I'm going to make sure we press those edges down real good. And I don't really have to do this, but since I have a space here that's almost the same width as my tape, just to be sure, I'll go ahead and tape that like you see it. Now I'll take a moment, turn this thing off, where I can get my colors out real quickly, and we'll be ready to paint. Now, those of you who have traveled these trails with me for a long time know that a number of years ago I discovered a method of painting that involved 5 primary colors: white, black, and then I include alizarin crimson because of the fact that you can't mix alizarin crimson. So if you want to do roses and things like that, you possibly could mix it. But so I'm presently doing this with my color. We'll start painting in a moment. Now, as we begin to unveil the painting, a lot of grays in here, perfect for our burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. You can't see the picture too well. There's a lot of deep burnt siennas in here, along with the deep green. Mainly it's a darker area. Then we have the distant areas here, and that's what we're going to focus on. So I'm going to start off by only having this lighter color here in my foreground. That's going to have to be done very subtly, because I just want that emphasis. Then I'll pick up some of the same color up in the trees. But to give you an example of the palette, care to write this down. Let's turn this sideways where you can see it a little bit better, I believe. Okay. Go up a little bit higher. Cadmium red light, burnt sienna, white, cadmium yellow light, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, hooker's green, and lamplight. Now, these are the colors I use. The brand that I happen to like for my own personal use is M. Watercolors. They're very unusual watercolor. They're made with honey as a base, and it's for the more serious student. And so without anything further, we'll just go ahead and start wetting our sky down, and let's just go ahead and make the commitment and do what we think we want to do here. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is going to come across like this. Now, I forgot to show you, the brushes are going to be this 1.5 inch brush I like to use for my wetting down purposes. I'm using 140-pound Arches watercolor paper. And then my other brushes are going to be a number 8 and number 4, number 2.5 inch flat. And of course, I do keep extra brushes like a number 6 and number 10 and larger sky brushes, but that's basically my basic brushes. Okay, now let's go ahead across like this. Now the first thing I want to do, I don't ever like to use just the pure gray, which you get with the blue and a brown. We'll always mix a gray. I always like to come in. I like to keep the blue predominant. I like to put a little bit of a alizarin crimson in there. And I just find that a crimson just adds a little pizzazz to the gray, particularly if you get the balance too equal with the excuse me while I get a piece of scrap paper. Keep the balance too close with the blue and the brown, it'll perform sort of a dead looking gray, which is okay. But in this case, I'm going to try it out. And see, I tried it on a piece of paper, and I've got just about exactly the color that I want, except I'll dilute it a lot. So we're just going to start up here. You want to remember, the color is irrelevant. It's the values that are important. Now the big question when you're doing watercolor is always, what do you do wet and what do you do dry? And that's a good question. It always is a good question. So I'll answer this for you for this painting, but it doesn't mean it's going to apply to your next painting. You always have to remember this is going to dry a lot lighter, especially with these colors, and that's what I want. Because I'm going to come back over these colors later, and I want them subdued. I want the foreground and this area right below the fence. That's going to be my predominant area. That's going to give the picture the kind of a pop that I want it to have. Now, let's take my large brush. This is what I like about keeping this type of brush around. And again, it's not going to be really bright. A little bit of eraser on there. A little eraser never hurt anybody. So we'll just, now I've got that just about exactly like I want it. Now I'm going to let it dry just a little bit. And I'm going to go to my number 8 brush now. And I want to mix basically the ultramarine blue, the burnt sienna. Now you're probably wondering, why do you use so few colors? Well, I read about this from an artist by the name of John Stobart. He studied at a school in England. I've got the blue and the brown. I'm going to mix a little bit of green with this. I'm going to see what that does. And I don't like it, so I'm going to mix a little bit of alizarin crimson because I know that's going to tone it down. Really, I want it really dark and subdued, but I want it to have color. So I think I'm pretty close to what I want here. Now I don't really want this to be done extremely wetly. So I'm just patiently letting it dry for just a moment. And if you needed to, you could even go back and actually, oh, I kind of like this. I don't really know what it is, but I don't know why I like it. I'm going to try to get this done relatively quickly. First of all, I like it that the paper's wet. I want to cover these large masses all at one time. Now how about we just try to let that alizarin crimson stand through just a little bit more, not in all of it maybe, but just in certain areas. Now you can't see this on the screen, but it is going to be a little bit more predominant like this. And I want to leave a couple of areas over here that I know are going to be snow areas. Not a lot. We're just going to go completely across here. Now, I went ahead and went through all that trouble to leave that little section back here, that where the I don't need to go much higher than this. It's lost one of my snow areas there, but that's okay. We'll come back with white. No big deal. Let's see, this is all going to be covered with the trees, and I want to leave a lot of white in the trees. So we're going to bring it up like that, and then I'll take my number 4 now. Again, let's take the burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, put a little bit of green in it, and subdue it with the red. And it does give you a very unique color. Now you have to watch. If you put too much green, it's going to have a greenish tint to it. You put too much blue, etc. I'm really looking for kind of a neutral color. So let's just see what this is going to do. Oh, that's going to be fine. Now notice that if you look at the painting, you can see some of this. And I'm going to do this kind of wet on wet. I like the wet on wet part of it. Just let it, the good times roll. Now this was my plan. See, it's working out just exactly like I wanted it to. I do regret I didn't leave a little bit more space in there for the trees, so forth, but the white on the trees. But hey, I'm not opposed to using white paint. Almost every artist I ever knew, read about, use a little bit of it every now and then. And then we're going to come across here like this. We just extended that fence all the way across. Now inside of this we may want to, along the bottom and inside the actual foliage itself, you may want to just break it up a little bit since this is larger. And just put a few more darks in it occasionally like this. And then as it fades out, we'll subdue it even a little bit more than what you see in the picture. Now notice that every now and then you are going to pick up a little bit of the branches, and I like that. So it just gives you a little bit of definition. That's really fun. And then I might just do some of my little fun detail things here like this. All should be fun, by the way. Maybe some areas I'm going to subdue a little bit more. I don't want to get too carried away with this. Okay. Might have even overworked that a little too much, but I know it's going to dry lighter, so we'll be fine. We'll take a moment, put it on pause, and put the blow dryer on it. Return to the painting now. I'd like to come in and begin working some of this foliage. Now I'm going to work it a little different than it is in the picture, in a sense that I can't see a lot of the information in the picture, so I'm just going to create a lot of my own. So in this case I'm starting off with the green and the brown and the burnt sienna, the burnt sienna, the ultramarine blue, and a little bit of green. Okay, I might have said that, it doesn't really matter. Okay, now I'm using a larger brush. I'm not afraid to now see, it may still be a little bit wet, but here's where I'm not afraid to really hit it, because I want some of these areas in here to be very, very thick, very clear. I'm using a number 8 brush now. Very, very randomly painting this at my discretion, letting a lot of the areas come through like I want them to come through. Now this is about the area where the tree is now. So we're going to do this. We're going to come up. Some of these sections up here now, I'm going to begin allowing a little bit of the snow to come through. Now I just have to allow that by just leaving the paper, see? Now we're going to come in like this. For the most part, we're really painting masses now. Now I'm very pleased with this color that I came up with. And I'm going to use it all the way through this area here. I'm going to show you a little something in a minute that really helps out a lot when you're doing foliage. Right now, you can't really tell a lot about what it's going to do, but there are a lot of flat masses. But you do have sections where you see the snow on it. I may leave a little bit more than I see. And then I'm going to start coming back like this. Now, as I get into this area, I'm going to switch now, and I'm going to take me a little bit more of the burnt sienna. And I might just take the pure burnt sienna and start mingling it. Now let's see, I'll have to see for a moment here what happens when the values, okay, now, because what we have is this little area here that I feel probably is a tree that's closer to us that we're not seeing in the picture. And so you won't see a lot of this. Put a little cadmium yellow in it now. It's going to really pretty well take care of everything up here, but what I want you to see we'll let it start coming down and rounding our eye back into the picture. I just want you to see the general structure, but I want to show you what starts tying all of this together. Now you want masses across the top. You need breaks, but you need masses that really connect everything. And if it looks like you got too many breaks, you just stop. But now that looks fine to me, and I want you to see what happens now. I'm going to drop down on my number 4 brush, and I'm going to take just a little bit of ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna. That's going to give me a nice darker color. And I'm going to just start coming straight down, and I want you to watch how these branches really start defining everything. And I'm going to have a lot of them like this coming down. Some just straight, just regular old branches. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what the rich people are doing right now, if there's a lot of them left, but I don't think they can be having more fun than what I'm doing right now, because I'll tell you what, this is just such a wonderful experience to see this and get the urge to create it and come back in and start. Now, what I'd like to do is maybe just show a little bit more branch movement coming in here. I could put a little moss on them, couldn't I? But I'll leave that alone. Okay. Now let's see what that looks like up on the screen. I believe that'll work out okay. Now when you see the original, you're going to see that a lot more of the brown is in the foliage up there. But it's pretty well doing what I would like it to do. So we're going to just continue all the way across now, and I'll just be using a variety of darks with the green part of the trees. But as I get over this way, I want to start leaving a lot of the white coming through. So I'll take my number 8 brush again. Now I'm not getting exactly the proportions I have on the picture up there. That's what I like about being an artist and about art. Doesn't have to be. Let's go with the green. A little bit of alizarin, the blue, alizarin, all the way over to the green. And I think this is going to kind of give us the same basic color. Now here, I want some large masses. See, I want to break. And then as I get over here, I want to start picking up some of the snow on these limbs. And a lot of it, I'm just going to fade out and forget it. Now, I'm only thinking about masses now. I'm not really worried about any detail at all. But I do notice that as I come across, I really do begin to pick up a lot more snow on this side for whatever reason. So this is what we're going to do, and that's going to start breaking up. But I wanted that little solid area in there. Close that up a little bit more, just like it is in the picture. Trying to keep that from being a tangent. I don't think I succeeded. Meaning, tangent is just, it's a mathematical term, I guess a geometrical term, whatever. But what it just simply means is when objects meet and the lines cross in such a way that they're confusing. And it's very confusing for the eye to read it. Artists are prone to do that. But what we want to try to do is just not allow it. Now, this is, after I did the drawing and everything, I'm about 20 minutes into the painting. And you're going to find it isn't going to really take that long to do this painting because of the fact that I've done snow before and I know how to simplify it. So we're just going to put a little bit of that green in there now. The snow is crucial. Now over here, particularly, I notice there's a pretty big snow area that I think is really important because it gives us a nice movement over here. Now some of this kind of starts running together, but I've got more areas of snow here, and this is where you don't want to be afraid. Now, I've got to watch, because if I allow that to get a little too busy, it'll take away from the rest of the paint. Now, I can always come back later and tone this down if I want to, but again, I'm using the crimson, the green, the blue, and the brown. Just kind of giving this weird color going all the way across. I'm going to come out here on one of these branches like this. Now, see, when I see it starting to be too busy, I just go back in and I start to tone it down. Trying to really do this realistically, but use a lot of abstract things in it. Now, your tendency is to want to work it and overwork it, but I'm going to just let it fade out, not worry about it. And I know that part looks a little boring right now, but I think later on it'll carry itself. Now, I'm going to just take a little bit of our lighter, real lighter color. Let's see what happens if I tone a little bit of this down. See, that's good. I don't want to do too much, but some of it could be toned down. It wouldn't hurt it. All right. Now, I think we're at a point where I'm going to go ahead and pick up the tape like this, and pick up the tape here. And this is where you're going to see what this is all about as far as what I was doing. Now I'll go back in and draw my fence in again in a moment, but I'm going to do this. Now we have that standing out just exactly the way we want it. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I know I don't want that bright. I think I'm going to take a break and go change my water out. Okay, let's come to our bottom area. Now again, this is where I want this effect to be predominant. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in, get my brush, and again, you can't be indecisive about this. You just got to get in and do it. So I'm going to wet it, not quite to the top, like this. So my paper is going to be absorbing that water now. Clean my brushes really nicely. Now let's get a little fresh burnt sienna. And I don't know why, but I feel like I need to add a little bit of alizarin crimson to that. Maybe the cadmium red. Let's try the cadmium red and the yellow. I don't really know what I'm looking for here, but I want it to be predominantly yellow. A little bit of the burnt sienna. Now this is going to be, I can even show you what I'm doing here. A little bit of the red. Now I may need to forget the red. Go stronger with the yellow. Let's just see what this does if I really mix a lot of water with it. It might surprise you. Put a little more yellow though. So you've got to get the mistiness in it when you're doing something like this. That's why I wet the paper. You don't want it overly done, So I'm just going to start up here. I'm going to dilute it considerably. And I'm going to go across like this, and I want to make sure, I'm going to leave a little white edge right on the horizon just to really dramatize that. So I'm going to start, I should have started with the pure yellow, but that's all right. And I'm going to take some with a little more burnt sienna. Maybe we need a little more of the burnt sienna and the red over that yellow. Now the cadmium red may be a little too bright for it, but hey, we're just going to go with it. We're not going to worry about all that. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more like that. I think that's going to be pretty close to what I want. Now, some areas I might have, I think this is really going to be fine, but if I want to break it up and have it subdue it a little bit more as far as the color, that's all I have to do there. But one thing I do want to do, I'm going to go back to my alizarin and my blue. I'm going to get the right mixture again. I'm really going to come across no guts, no glory. Now see, I'm picking up the same value as what I picked up here. A little bit different color. And we're just going to let all of that blend together. Now what I want, I know you don't see this in nature, but I want that blue, that violet looking color blending in with that cadmium yellow. And just giving me a little more shadow down here. Now, set a little bit of burnt sienna and blue. You get more of a gray, mostly blue now, because the burnt sienna is going to be a little. I want it to be somewhat of a tone like this, like it's a little bit in shadow. Now, I don't really know if I'm going to be completely happy with that when it dries, but you know what? I don't care. I think though I will go back, take a little bit of the color I used on this background area. I'm trying to get the value the same. And let's just let that sucker roll. Okay, turn the dryer off. We're going to we'll finish this thing up in about 10 minutes. Let's dry it. Okay, as we go to the final part of this, which is only going to take a few moments, I'm very happy with what I've captured. The primary thing I want to do now, I'll know better when I put all my shadows in, but I went out on a limb and tried a little different palette. And the reason I did this is because in Louisiana, it's not like all the trees are dead and there's no foliage, and all the color is in the dead things on the ground and the bark of the trees. Our trees really still have green foliage on them, and they also, some of the areas would be burnt sienna, and so consequently I really muted all the colors. I tried some new colors, and hey, if it doesn't work, that's fine, but I'm satisfied with it. Now I want to go with the ultramarine blue. I'm going to really make a statement here, so I'm going to go with the ultramarine blue. I'm going to go with the burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of red, and a tiny bit of black. Now you don't need to use a lot of black. Black will deaden your color to the point it obliterates it. Okay, now, but I do want it to be slightly darker than my foliage. And in this particular case, we're getting a very, very crisp, clear. Now, let's make sure as we come down, we show a little bit of a convex. I'm going to run this over. Now, these areas down here are very unusual. They're always very sharp and they're always very crisp. So we're going to come down like this now. Okay, I got a very strong color to make a very strong statement. Now this particular, a lot of it I'm letting it just fade into the foliage. It doesn't bother me at all. Not quite as abrupt of a buildup of the snow against the tree as we had on the other part, but I think it's doing what it needs to do. Now, let's go back to that ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, tone down a little bit. Okay, now we have a pretty strong color coming across here. This light was hitting very unusually, or I should say in a very unusual way. So we're going to start some very crisp shadows. Now what you actually had was this tree shadow and the other one was showing up on top of it. But we want to show this clearly, but then as it starts to get out of ways like this, we'll keep it real clear. It starts to fade a little bit. Just want to take clear water now, mix it with your pigment. Oh yeah, don't overdo it. Let's get a little bit of dry brush. Oh man, this is a discovery. Get a little bit of dry brush here, a little bit of dry brush up there. Oh man alive, that's going to do it. It's a simple statement, that's all I want. Now, I'm going to come back up here, do the same thing. Now this part is in shadow. And we're just going to bring it across the same way. And this just starts to run out a little bit like this. It does the same thing. Begins to dissipate. And for whatever reason, it's because it's not casting a shadow this way. But notice I'm dragging that brush now. And since I'm dry brushing that, I'm going to dry brush a little bit of this, see? And that really does give it more of the effect of the snow. But I want to leave that white area, so I got to be very careful here. So I think that makes enough of a statement for me. And I'm going to leave it. Now let's do the next thing. I'm going to take that cadmium red, mix it with our burnt sienna. I don't think we want a really deep red looking barn. I've got to gray it down, so I'm going to put some of the ultramarine blue in. If I have to, I'll put the black in it. But I think I can do it like this. Now I want it just slightly darker than what's behind it. Let's see if I can pull that off now. going to show you a little trick on this roof in a minute if you'll bear with me, that you can really enjoy, because you'll really learn how to do this stuff when you paint snow in a place like Vermont. I'm going to watch what I'm doing here, because I don't want to, I'm going to really make sure I don't drag this down lower than that line. I did a little bit there, but I think I can cover that up with the fence. So I'm going to come straight across like this. And I do believe this is capturing just what I wanted it to do. I want it muted, say. And then our fence is going to cover that along the bottom. Okay, now I'm really happy with that. Now what I was talking about, and I'll go ahead and do this now because it won't hurt anything, but before I do, I need a little bit of color on that roof. I have mixed emotions about this, but I really wasn't wanting it to be the predominant thing in the picture. It looks like it's going to be. Maybe I need to. I can always change it later. Here's a little trick about doing snow. Whenever it piles up on the roof of a building, it's always a really nice little cool shadow. Doesn't have to be perfect or even. Right along there, it subdues it. And maybe that's all I need. You see? And that shows the thickness of the snow on the roof, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and live with that. And then along with it, we take a little bit of our burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. So that always makes a nice gray, brown and a blue. Take the black, put a little bit of that mix up. I want to dilute it. And then we're going to really go in here and do one of my really nice little detailed trees that I like to do. We're going to see that. Those of you that have been through my tree course, I think I'm going to drop down a little bit now, maybe to my number 2, because I don't want to overdo this. Now notice the way I drag this in such a way, and I leave these little edges where it comes out, and I just come back. Every one of those breaks, I have a limb coming off of it, see, and that's really what nature does. Oh man, I just love it. See, and against that white, which I've really made my decision now, because I'm going to pretty have to stick with the white. And then here, was separate from it, we have an interesting little branch coming down that I love. Now again, we're getting a little bogged down with detail, which I don't want to do. Let's make it come up a little higher, and I like filling some of this in on this side a little bit more. It's perfect. We'll just leave that like it is, and I think we're just about ready to put the last part on it, which is going to be our fence. Let me redo those lines, and you probably wonder, is he going to do that with a brush? I'm going to do it with a brush. And the reason I'm going to do it with a brush is the fact that I want it to look like a painting. I don't want it to look like an architectural rendering. Now if you'll notice, one of the things that I did that you don't see in the picture, see, that's flat. And there's a rule in composition, always makes things a little bit darker, getting lighter as they go up. Now I wanted a little bit more of an orangey looking color up here. I might have missed it, but that's okay. It's given us exactly what I wanted. It gave us just enough of that color to break through and so forth, so we'll just leave it. Let's take a break and I'll resurrect that fence going across there. Okay, we want to stop now, and we're going to attempt this fence. I've got it drawn in because you really need a good drawing to know what you're doing. Now it's predominantly a red fence. Now what you want to do is you want to use an old sign painter's trick now. Just get you a brush that'll give you a good, where you have a lot of control. And again, I'm not really worried about it being perfect, but try to get your color mixed so that you can just come across. And it takes a little guts to do this now. You know, you don't want to ruin your painting, but you have to get it right. So there's one. Now, so this is a number 2, and it's working absolutely perfectly. I don't think this is going to show up real well in front of this. If it doesn't, I'll go back and do it again. Okay, that's our first. I'm going to turn it around this way now because I really want to make sure I cover the bottom of this completely with this one. This is ironically right on the horizon, which is fun. Try to get it dark enough where you can do it with one stroke. Let's go with our brown. Cadmium red again. A little bit of blue to darken it. You say, well, how do you get the same color? Don't worry about it. That's the biggest thing, people. As long as you're using the same colors, your eye will see, and the values are right. Your eye is going to put it together, and it will figure it out. See, we want to do everything like we got spy glasses on. That's not necessary. I'm going to come across here. Like this, it's coming, looks like it's working pretty well. We're going to stop it right there. Now, I do a very good job on my lines, so I'm going to blow dry this, let it dry real good, and then I'm going to come back and finish the last 2. Okay, what I did is I erased the construction lines. And not completely, but I'm going to just move them down a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to look for perfection here, but I want it to be just a width of a pencil difference maybe. But it makes a lot of difference when you're painting it, because you don't want it to look noticeably off as far as that part of it. I think this is going to be fine. Turn it back like this now. So going with that number 2 pencil, excuse me, number 2 brush. And so I can kind of look at it and gauge it now. I'm going like the same stroke but lower than the area that I had done before. Now it's not exactly the same color, don't panic. It's going to be okay, and if it is, I need a little different color in it to make it look exactly the same, I'll add a little blue to it. Now I feel like when I get down here, but your eye will kind of close all that together for you, so don't really worry about it. Now I'm going to put a little darker color or tone with this, because I really do want this part right here not necessarily to stand out too much, but I do want it to stand out. When that dries, when you really can't tell what it's going to look like, I don't want there to be any question of what it's supposed to be. Okay, I think that's two down pretty well. You'll have to forgive me for not having the whole thing on the screen, but I think you get the general idea. And I just made it darker when we got to the area. Now see here, it's very easy just to come in between those two. So I'm close enough. You might think, oh, how they look so wonderful. He just did those lines so perfectly. They're not. What I did is I spaced them as closely as I could, and then when you see them on that screen smaller, they're going to look like they are, or when you stand back away from it. But okay. Oh man, yeah. I'm really satisfied with that. Now, this is some more of the guessometric, okay? Kind of guessing at where this is going to be. That's close enough. You may not really see these in the way I measured it. You may not see that one, but I felt like it needed to be in there, so there it is. Now I'm going to go a little bit over here. Put that one in. See again, when it goes across this area here, I'll let your imagination fill it in. The biggest thing is remembering what's important and what's not important. Now, I'm really glad I left that white roof, because I think it needed the pizzazz that it gives it. Okay, now in the distance, I'm going to drop this down a little bit. I'm going to show 1, 2. I probably should have turned this sideways. I'm kind of doing these quickly, but what the heck. We're going to have the fence going back here. Straighten them out a little bit. And I believe we're just going to go ahead and call this one completed. And we'll cut them out real quick for it and let y'all see what it looks like. Well, we've come to the conclusion of our painting, and I wanted to refresh your memory on exactly where we've been, what we've done. I started with a picture that was very typical of a snow scene, quite beautiful. Really, it was almost perfect enough to paint like it is exactly. However, if it had not been for the other pictures, the 2 or 3, that showed that sunlight barely breaking through in the afternoon, I probably would have stayed with the other and been very happy with it. But I attempted something that I felt was what I wanted to do, and if I could give you any advice in this area, to me, the conclusion of the train ride is really not ever the true meaning of what it means to me individually. It's the train ride that counts. And when I attempt to do something like this and I achieve what I attempted to do, to me it is a success. And it's over, I go on to something else, I don't really worry about it. I've learned a long time ago, I don't look for the appreciation of man or the commendation of others. It's always nice to have it. But this was truly a wonderful experience. It reminded me so much of my days in Vermont. And again, I thank everyone that sent me the beautiful pictures. And I think we ought to have a workshop. So, hope you enjoyed it. Final thing I want to put in here now is the actual painting itself with the mat on it. Let's see if I can get it straightened out here for you. Okay, there we go. I think that's close enough. Now, when you talk about the area down here, you know, I could think about it, dwell on it. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I like the fact that whatever the success or failure of this thing is, it's going to be due to decisions that were made. And you can't blink, as far as I'm concerned, when you are going to attempt something like this. You have to have a goal, you have to set out to do it, and you have to stick with your plan. If it's a great success, that's fine. If it's you did what you attempted to do, that to me is what really is the thing that means the most. And we rely so heavily on the compliments of others, and a real artist learns over a number of years, and I've got 51 behind me, that it's not the greatest success. The greatest success is when you do what you feel you wanted to do in your heart, and then other people like it. Then you know it's a winner. So I'm quite satisfied with it, and I hope you enjoyed the demonstration, and some of you may even want to buy the video and do it. And with that, without further ado, we'll close for tonight. Thank you very much.